the Rams have a serious problem as one of their key players has the chance to miss camp for some time, as well as 3 key questions surrounding the entire team heading into training camp. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 4,000 subscribers by the time training camp starts July 24th. We have just over a week, around a week and a half left to hit that goal. So make sure to hit our subscribe button and make sure to turn on all notifications to all. Hit that notification bell so that you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest content, as you will get notified every time that we upload. And now to our main story of the day. The Rams have a key player who might be on a contract holdout dispute coming very, very soon, and that is second-round rookie Terrance Ferguson, still unsigned. We talked about this story a little over a month ago, but now we have an update regarding this story, as this is from Turf Show Times, as we're going to head on into it right now. There is an ongoing split in the NFL among second-round draftees and their teams. It mostly stems from the Houston Texans agreeing to a fully guaranteed contract of wide receiver Jaden Higgins. Only 2 of the top 32 second-round picks from this year's NFL draft have struck terms with their teams. The 2 who have signed on the dotted line are Higgins and Carson Swearinger, out of UCLA, LA product of the Cleveland Browns. And a thing to note is that both of these players do have fully guaranteed contracts, which means that all their money is guaranteed. And for most of the times, second-round picks do not get these kinds of deals. It is very, very rare for second-round picks to get these kinds of deals. And the reason why only 2 have signed is because they're the 2 who got the fully guaranteed deals, and now all the other second-round picks, and rightfully so, want to have the same terms as their draftee mates. And I fully agree with that. I mean, why shouldn't one second-round pick get a fully guaranteed deal and one not? It is definitely an interesting dynamic there between the 2 sides, as we're going to get into more of an update on this right now. The divide seems to be growing as the 2 teams playing in the NFL's Hall of Fame game, the first preseason contest of the year, between the Detroit Lions and Los Angeles Chargers, start training camp early. Chargers receiver Trey Harris has officially said he will be a camp holdout, and the Lions' interior offensive lineman is expected to be in the same boat when the Detroit rookies report. Now, this is the main update, that we now have 2 second-round picks that have officially announced that they are going to be training camp holdouts because of their lack of a fully guaranteed contract deal, which is definitely something that you rarely ever see from rookies in general holding out from camp, but especially non-first-round picks, because first-round picks, you can negotiate the terms a bit more of the deal, but second-round picks, you really can't. The salary set, it's not a salary issue, it's a guaranteed money issue, and we're getting into Terrance Ferguson's contract details a little bit later in this, but for these picks, again, they're trying to sit out, get this fully guaranteed money in. I wonder how this is going to make them be viewed around circles across the league, because if these players don't want to sign deals and another team comes in all of a sudden and says, hey, we'll give him a guaranteed deal, how's he been doing in camp, and they're holding out, other teams may view that as a liability as well if teams were to try to trade, which again is just speculation, but there is definitely a possibility of that. And for this, the Rams might be in a similar boat with their second-round pick, Terrance Ferguson, who is yet to agree to a deal with camp. For rookies starting on the 22nd, a couple days before the 24th, it'll be quite interesting to see, will he be there, as there's been no guaranteed reports that he will be for sure at training camp. And how this affects the Rams. The Los Angeles Rams announced the vast majority of their rookies signing contracts on May 10th. At the time, that left second-round tight end Terrance Ferguson, a 4th-round running back Jarquez Hunter, as the open questions. Hunter and the team put his contract in the rearview mirror by the end of May, leaving just Ferguson as the only unsigned rookie. Yeah, Hunter was going to sign. That was never a big deal for me. Hunter was going to end up signing a lot sooner just because of a day 3 pick again. You're grateful to be in the NFL. Everyone's grateful to be in the NFL, obviously, but especially on day 3, those guys tend to need to work a little bit harder just to even make the roster, not necessarily for Hunter's case, but for some other picks. And those picks, the salaries are even less, able to be negotiated with the later on you're drafted. So Hunter was going to sign regardless. That was never a big deal to me. I know we did cover it at that time, so if you missed that video, go back and watch it. And especially if you missed my first video covering the Terrance Ferguson situation a little over a month ago, make sure to go back and watch that as well so you can gain some context. But there seems to be a possibility that Terrance Ferguson really is going to be holding out of training camp if he does not get a contract coming up. We will see. My guess, again, this is not an actual report, but my guess is that we're going to have an update on this later on next week, whether he is going to be a holdout or not. I do think he's going to give the team a few more days, see if they can get to an agreement, and if not, I do think he has a legitimate shot of being a training camp holdout this upcoming camp. With 30 second-round picks to be signed and 2 already considered as virtual training camp holdouts, it is within the realm of possibility that we see Ferguson sit out the start of practices with the Rams. The learning curve is already steep at the tight end position, and a slow start to the season could increase the degree of difficulty for Ferguson to earn a significant role on the offense. This is a storyline worth monitoring ahead of Rams rookies reporting to Loyola Marymount University on July 22nd, which is just over a week away. Yeah, this is definitely a big story that we have to be looking out for, because as this article wisely points out, the less reps Ferguson gets at training camp, the less likely he is to be a big role in the offense throughout the season, because if he's going to be used in the playoffs, which we all believe the Rams have a strong chance of making, if everyone's healthy, that Ferguson may not be a big part of the game plan. And I think McVay and the Rams brass, when they drafted him, had plans of him being a large part of this offense, especially as the season goes on, to preserve Higbee and have them both be at their peak for the playoffs. But that opportunity is definitely now in question with this new story. And now just some background information on the contract. This is brought to us by Sporadic. Ferguson's salary is $9.7 million over 4 years, increasing each year of those 4. And again, it's not a salary issue. It is a guaranteed money issue. And I want you to comment down below right now, whether you believe Ferguson will be a training camp holdout, and if so, how will this affect him, if at all? And if he's not a training camp holdout, can the Rams sign him to a fully guaranteed deal? And as well, let me know in the comments right now as well, whether you think second-round picks should get fully guaranteed deals, because we saw this start with Jaden Higgins a while ago on the Texans. Then the Browns gave Carson Schwarzenegger his fully guaranteed deal. Now that you have 2 out of the picks that are signed are the only ones with guaranteed deals, those 2 teams, the Texans and Browns, may have just started a new trend throughout the entire NFL with second-round picks getting guaranteed deals. Comment down below. I would say at this point, I would agree that second-round picks should have fully guaranteed deals, especially if those 2 teams already offered those deals. It doesn't seem like, I don't know this for sure, but it doesn't seem like those agents of the players had to really work for those fully guaranteed deals. It looks like they were just kind of offered, and of course you're going to sign that. So why not have those deals be fully guaranteed? If Ferguson holds out, I would understand why, but at the same time, it is important that the Rams can get this deal done quite soon for both sides, for the Rams and for Ferguson. For the Rams, so they have Ferguson in the building, and it makes them look like a really good and well-run organization, which they already are, but it makes it look even better for them. And for Ferguson, it's good for him to get those reps in training camp. So leave your comments down below what you think of this situation. And now we have to get on to our secondary story of the video, which is 3 key questions for the Rams heading into training camp. And this is also brought to us from Turf Show Times, as we will get into that right now. The Los Angeles Rams report for training camp in just over a week, and while LA is expected to be potential Super Bowl contenders, there are still a few questions that need to be answered before the team welcomes the Houston Texans to SoFi Stadium Week 1. And funny enough, Terrance Ferguson and Jaden Higgins would be facing off in those games, those 2 second-round picks. Can the Rams secondary have success without a star defensive back? That's the question we've all been asking, and we have really been covering here really throughout the entire offseason. By far the biggest question for Los Angeles heading into camp is their defensive backfield, especially at corner. While the team has been linked to many cornerback trades, including former Ram Jalen Ramsey, nothing has come to fruition as of yet, and it feels like more and more that the team may just have belief in their mostly unchanged group from last season. Yeah, it seems like that is the case. McVay has been on the record multiple times talking about how he believes in the group they have, but if a trade comes that they like, that they wouldn't be opposed to doing it. And again, with the Ramsey trade that we went over and when it happened, I covered that. So if you missed that one, go back and watch it after this, about how the Rams dodged a bullet because the Steelers somehow gave him a raise. And if the Dolphins really fleeced that deal, shout out Chris Greer, masterclass in negotiation right there for the Dolphins. But yeah, the Rams made the right decision not involving themselves in that trade. And so it seems like a trade that they liked never came to them, so they decided not to do it. The Rams do have a relatively strong safety group, though, with the likes of Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, and standout rookies Cameron Kitchens and Jalen McCullough. Kitchens and McCullough quietly combined for 8 interceptions, 100 total tackles, and 2 defensive touchdowns in their first years at the pro level. Yeah, those two guys, I'm a big fan of those two guys, Cam Kitchens and Jalen McCullough. I do think they should trade Cam Curl. I've said this before because I think these two players are kind of better than Cam Curl was last year, and I do think they have upside. Cam Kitchens being only 5'9" is a bit of a concern if he is going to be a full-time starter, but Jalen McCullough, both of them have great ball skills, great tackling skills, and I think they're only going to go up and up this year in year 2 of their careers. And as far as corner goes, Darius Williams and Ahkello Witherspoon are expected to be the top 2 guys on the outside, with Lake playing the star role in slot. Kobe Durant and former Washington Commanders first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes should be in the mix for some playing time as well. The group remains mostly unchanged and struggled early on in 2024. However, they've seen improvement as the year went on, and it seems to have been enough to convince McVay and company to believe in what they have in-house. So we actually have a quote from Sean McVay to go over about this right now. Now, I feel good about where we're at, McVay continued. We've gotten a lot of guys that have played meaningful ball at the corner position at the safety. We've got some different guys that can flex between safety, dime, linebacker, and the nickel star spot. There are a lot of young guys, or maybe even guys that are new to the Rams, but have accumulated a bunch of experience that I think are only going to continue to take steps. I think when you really look at it, I thought that CB, Kobe Durant, took amazing strides last year. Obviously, cornerback Ahkello Witherspoon played great. I think him being here in the offseason is a big deal. Darius Williams has been an excellent player for us. I don't think anybody can minimize the hamstring injury that we had to work through in early parts of the year. Yes, that is an important note that Darius Williams was injured to start the year, so we did not have the best finish to the year. But again, they do have guys that have played at the position. It's not like they're using a bunch of guys who've never played corner or all rookies. They're all young players who have room to improve, but that improvement does need to come for them to see results. And McVay also went on to say some other things in this quote as well. So I feel really good about the development of that group, led by assistant head coach and pass game coordinator Aubrey Pleasant. Seems like a pleasant guy, if I want to say so myself. Safeties coach Chris Beek, and defensive assistant Mike Harris. All of those guys are going to be key in helping develop this Rams defense. Tutu Atwell versus Jordan Whittington for wide receiver 3 is the second big question of today. Some would argue with Puka Nacua and the acquisition of Devontae Adams, the Rams' strongest position group on the team will be a wide receiver. And frankly, it's hard to argue against it. Even with that being the case, there are still some major questions about the depth behind LA's 2 superstars. Yes, I totally agree. The depth outside of them, I do like Atwell and Whittington, but at the same time, they're not necessarily proven depth guys. I know a lot of you in the comments on my Atwell video weren't quite high on Tutu, so I'm hoping that you are right and he is able to have a nice season to contribute. Tutu Atwell, heading into his 5th year, looks to have finally secured a starting position among the wideouts. Atwell has been an expected starter for the last 2 years or so, but it just hasn't taken the step or been given the playing time. He has always ran into some kind of injury or been passed up by another player, but after being given the 1-year $10 million extension, it certainly seems like wide receiver 3's job is Atwell's to lose. I agree. I think he should have this wide receiver 3 job, and it shouldn't even be close. You're given $10 million, which means you're expected to perform at quite a high level, and we went over this contract last in a couple of videos ago, and just how much it really takes up from the cap space of the Rams for this year. It's a 1-year deal, so if he's not great, you just don't bring him back, but again, I don't even know if it's tradable if he's bad. I don't even know if a team's going to want to pay him $5 million for the rest of the year post the trade deadline, so Atwell has some pressure on him to perform for sure. Second-year wideout Jordan Whittington was a late-round gem last season and looks to be, at the very minimum, a very solid role player. He should be the one most likely to challenge Atwell for playing time at wide receiver 3. While Tutu brings unmatched explosiveness and speed to the position, Whittington has an ability to play well at any of the wide receiver positions on the field. He's not as fast as Atwell, but he has enough speed to play out the side, while also bringing an ability to line up in the slot and tough it out over the middle. His versatility could give him a leg up on Atwell, who had mostly just been used as a deep threat gadget up until last season where his route tree expanded a bit. I think they're kind of going to split sometime. I think it'll be like a 70-30 split, Atwell to Whittington. But I do see Whittington having a role because his route tree is more advanced, like this article is saying. Comment down below right now whether you agree with this article. I do think it should go to Atwell as well, but comment down below who you think right now. And who will play left tackle to start the season is our final question of today. The last place Rams fans want to see a question mark is offensive line, specifically when it comes to securing quarterback Matthew Stafford's blindside. Naturally, you would think the answer to who would play left tackle is Alaric Jackson, who had a great season in 2025 as the full-time starter in 2023, that should say, and earned a 3-year, $56 million extension this offseason. And we have a quote from McVay about this as well, his recovery from the blood clots. You really pray for him to be able to have a healthy, safe recovery, McVay said. And we're really just taking it a day at a time with him. There's a lot of examples of people that have had situations like this, but they're all still so uniquely independent in their own right, and so we're gathering information. And this basically means that they don't have a timetable for return just yet, which is a bit concerning with training camp coming up. I'd hope early on in camp we can get a more sophisticated update about this and we can truly have a timeline of return, which I think would be great for this team's morale. And because these injuries can be career-ending, I don't know if it is for Larry Jackson, but there is an off chance that it is. We obviously hope that it's not, but this is very serious, and Jackson does need to take his time to recover. Like this video to speed up Larry Jackson's recovery progress going on right now. The problem is that Jackson is facing a similar issue that plagued him before he was diagnosed with blood clots in his leg this summer. The first time he had an issue with blood clots was in 2022, and it forced him to miss the final 9 games of the season. While McVay says that Jackson is in good spirits and that they have a plan in place, it feels like there is a real chance Los Angeles may not have their starting left tackle to start the season. That is what it looks like. It's good to see that he's in good spirits, which makes me think he is making slow progress, which any progress from recovering from any injury is good progress. But it does look like he may miss the early part of the season, which as long as he's there for the final 5-6 games leading into the playoffs, he'll shake that rust off before the playoffs, and the Rams' offensive line will be whole. In the playoffs, that's all we care about. If he has to miss the first 4 or 5 games, I think that's okay. If he gets to week 9, week 10, I'd be very concerned that he would miss the entire season, so we just have to see about that. The team has backup Warren McClendon Jr., but he was underwhelming when forced into playing time last season. More than likely, the starter would be free agency signing DJ Humphries if Jackson was unable to start the season. The Rams also brought in former Minnesota Viking David Quisenberry for some added depth at left tackle. All three bring in veteran starting experience, but Stafford is an older quarterback and has never been very mobile. So Los Angeles needs to make sure whoever is playing left tackle week 1 is up to the task, or they will be risking their veteran quarterback's health very early on in the season. With all of that mentioned, no one has officially said Jackson will be out to start the season quite yet. There is still a chance his team will be at full strength to start 2025. Yes, we are all hoping that Jackson is available to start the season, but if not, comment down below who should start. I do think it should be DJ Humphries. That is my answer. I think he has the highest upside of any of those guys, but I do think all 3 of them, if Jackson misses time, will see time on the field. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As we are on the road to 4,000 subscribers, make sure we can hit our goal and help us get there by hitting that button and turn on that notification bell. Hit the bell to all so you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest videos covering all things Rams. Leave in the comments down below your thoughts on the Terrance Ferguson situation. I do think he should get a fully guaranteed deal. Let me know if you agree or not, and let me know if he will be a training camp holdout in your opinion. I say it's around 60-40 he will be if there's no deal, and if there is a deal, he will obviously report. Let me know what you think about Atwell versus Winnington in the comments as well. I do think Atwell should beat out Winnington, and who you think should start at left tackle if Jackson sadly has to miss some of the season. I do think it should be DJ Humphries. Like this video if you haven't already. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.